All right. It is 5 minutes past we started, so let's start going through these patch notes right here. The big thing for this patch is some new battlefield layouts. So previously we introduced some new battlefield layouts, some very restrictive ones with free spaces, basically cut out from the board essentially, either taking out an entire row or an entire column. And people seem to really like that, and that really kind of changed how people chose characters, changed how people played, like, immensely. So what we're going to be doing this time is we have added a bunch of new layouts. I believe it's 4 new layouts. Correct me if I'm wrong. That have 2 tiles cut out instead of 3. So those will be joining the 3 tile cutout layouts, as well as the the classic, the standard. So those will be, like, I believe there's like 2 in the top row, like 2 in the back row, and all that kind of stuff. So it's basically the way it impacts the battle is like it's halfway between the unrestricted kind of battlefield and the totally, like, the 3 tile blocked out battlefield layouts. So basically, it's like the characters that got really boosted there were basically number 1, which is character 6, which we don't have it up here, and we didn't do it in the patch notes. But big news, we are now codenaming character 6 to Totem, because pretty soon there's going to be a new character as well. So we can't have character 6 and character 7. That's a mouthful, and it's also confusing for people, not only players, but for us too sometimes when we have to, talk about these types of things. So character 6 is now Totem for now, at least, during our testing, because it's a lot easier to talk about. So anyway, character 6 was super powerful, super influential during that patch. So we have taken a look at what made them really strong and just kind of like dial it back a little bit. Not too much though. So the first 3 bullet points up here have to do with character 6, and it just kind of like incrementally tones down the damage output of pressure release, because we saw people really using that over a lot of other skills, and that was like basically the go-to. The other thing was, in some special circumstances, it didn't happen all the time, even on like the most restrictive layouts, it didn't happen all the time, but on occasion there was an issue where character 6, rather Totem, was doing pressure releases all over the battlefield, and they just stayed there for an incredible amount of time. So it was very difficult for someone who needed to play against them to go to a new spot that didn't have that pressure release active. So they couldn't really do much counterplay with that. Once the battlefield got filled up, that was pretty much it. So that being said, we have reduced the duration that pressure release is active on a tile from 10 turns to 8 turns. So when you are playing as Totem, or if you're playing against Totem, that is something that you need to look at. You have to, when you place it down, you have to make sure that that character is gonna take a turn in within 8 turns, basically, because otherwise they'll take that initial damage, but they're really not going to take that bonus damage, unfortunately, because it's going to dissipate. The Steve is going to dissipate, and it's not going to go up. So characters that you really want to focus with this are characters that you want to move, like you want them to move out of the way, and characters who like will have their turn come up soon. So it doesn't work for like very rare circumstances that this happens, but reducing it from 10 turns down to 8, really, it starts to make this matter. So when you're using this ability, take a peek at the turn order at the top of the screen and make sure that if what you want to do is deal more damage at the start of that character that you're targeting, at the start of that character's turn, make sure that it's actually going to go off, because you are on a timer now, more so than you were before. So just something to be aware of. So that is the summary of all the changes for Totem. Looking at like the win percentages, honestly, like character 6 is not that overpowered. Like a lot of the characters are hovering between that nice like 45 to 55 percent win percentage basically. So that's like a really good place for a lot of characters to be. That being said, it's also fine if some characters are more or less powerful on certain map layouts. That's just kind of the name of the game here. So this will come more into play much later on once we start implementing features for like tournament support, which are kind of things like drafting, picks and bans, all that kind of stuff. Once that is in there, it'll make this even like less of an issue. But for the time being, like another thing that also prevents characters like character 6 from being too overpowered in limited space battlefield layouts is to introduce new battlefield layouts, which is what we're doing. Oh, there we go. I'm cut off a little bit. Up there, new battlefield layouts. So introducing battlefield layouts that are kind of in between, that like all or nothing, which is what we had, which was like, okay, you have an entire row or column removed, or it's like the total unfettered battlefield layout. These are kind of in between, so you will be seeing more of those types of layouts, which will reduce the chances of having a 3-tile blocked out type of layout. But anyway, so just something to be aware of. The other character that we were kind of looking at that has like an absolutely insane pick rate right now, but surprisingly doesn't have an insane win rate, to be honest, but is the Ranger. So the Ranger, we have identified, there's two things that the Ranger does very well, that when we initially designed this character, we were not seeing one of these things panning out the way that they did. One, this is an excellent support character. This character can dish out a lot of damage when you have other characters on your team, which is kind of more so what we wanted this character to do. That's great. That's awesome. The thing that we didn't realize until about like a couple of patches ago is that this character is also very decent at 1v1 in terms of not only defensive capabilities, but also offensive capabilities. It might not have as much damage output as other characters, but their speed combined with their overall tankiness, which comes from their dodge percent, really elevates this character to a viable, like, quote, solo character. So something that we did was we're just doing some incremental changes right now. We reduced the Ranger's HP from 50 to 45, so that in what we noticed was like even that 5 health like change actually was like super impactful to how some battles could have panned out during the last tournament. So we're just lowering their overall power level a little bit by reducing their health, and also the bonus damage from their support stance has been reduced from 5 to 3. So basically over the period of a battle, that starts to add up, especially if this character is the last character on the battlefield on someone's side. That means that they've probably gotten off a lot of damage from their support stance, but reducing it from 5 to 3 reduces that slightly. So your board state might be a little bit different this time around. But anyway, that's basically most of like the mechanics changes that we did. Some kind of nitty-gritty numbers tweaking. But hopefully we'll see a little bit of difference in the pick rate this time around. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of a change in terms of people's strategies with the Ranger, and does this belong on my team? Does this not belong on my team? Etc. One last thing, we had a little bit of confusion on, well, not confusion, but something that people didn't immediately pick up on the engineer's levitate stance. Just to reiterate, it's in there, and we kind of tweaked this a little bit. There is basically a price to pay for using that levitate stance. Every time you use it, at the end of using it basically, once it's your turn again, you take damage. And that damage is increased every single time you use it. So the first time you use Levitate, you're going to take 1 damage. The second time you use it, you're going to take 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and so on. So it starts in the beginning of a fight. It's really important for the engineer to use that stance because it helps them survive. Because otherwise, they're just going to get hit by melee attacks. You can have a warrior in the team, and that helps a lot. But if you don't have that character being protected by the warrior, they're very fragile. So Levitate really helps out this character in the beginning of the game. However, if you keep on using that ability over and over and over again, it starts to become a little bit of a quandary where your engineer might have taken a couple of hits, and you have to figure out, is it worth doing this Levitate stance, because it's slowly going to start adding up to more damage to my character. So that being said, that's an important part of this ability, that damage, because it is a very powerful stance. It gives this character a lot of sustain during a fight. We wanted to make sure that this is like this is something that people understand, that they're buying into, basically. So just, you could see a little bit of a change in the wording that we had there. There was only like one big bug that we had seen, that we had actually was a result of our testing, and that was there is some turn order stuff with the chemist lurk stance, that was kind of, it wasn't showing appropriately in the preview. So we kind of fixed that. It just wasn't looking ahead enough, so we kind of made sure that it looks ahead far enough. So yeah, that's all the changes that we had for the most part. This is kind of a light patch in preparation for the next patch, which will be a new character. Yay! So we're all really excited for this new character. We're hoping it really, really shakes up the meta. And you'll be able to see some previews for that relatively soon. But you know, we're still in development. We're still shaking things out. It's still gonna be, you know, it's next patch, so it's still 2 weeks from now. So there's a lot of things that need to be done before that character is in. So we'll, you know, we'll when we get there, we'll get there. But anyway, yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, just let me know. I'll just be chilling here for another couple of minutes. Until we know a little bit more about who's going to be in the tournament today. So if you're watching and you're not part of the tournament, you can still do it. It's really like takes 2 seconds. Just drop us a line in the Discord channel. It's super easy, super chill. We have, you know, new people who join all the time, and they do well, and they have a lot of fun. So like if you're not sure, like, oh, I don't, you know, I'm not like a hardcore player or anything like that, like, don't worry. We're super early on in this, so you're gonna fit right in with a lot of people. So yeah, new people joining, imagine. Yeah. So you know, if you're just watching and all you want to do is watch, that's cool too. But you know, sometimes you can take your shot, because we've got some cool stuff for you if you rank. So the first couple of ranks, they get a Steam gift card, and they get some nice titles in the Discord channel. So you could join the ranks of other illustrious people. Which we have had a lot of different tournament champions. It's not just one person dominating the whole thing. Had a lot of upsets. So, like, seriously, with new players too. We had one, was it 2 tournaments ago, who was a brand new player. I think it was 2, maybe 3. We got we had someone just come in and basically wreck shop, and they were a new tournament participant. However, we do have a repeat champion, Warix, who, watch out, because they're very good, and you know, but upsets do happen, as they have happened before. So we totally look forward to seeing new people in the ring. So Yeah, watch out, Warwicks. I see you in that chat. It's okay if you haven't played on this patch yet. Like it's not like huge changes. Like the balance gameplay stuff is like not like a hell of a lot. So if you're worried about like, oh no, I'm not up to date on stuff, it's like, well, here it is. It's all good. It's incremental stuff. We're not looking to nerf people into the ground. Yeah, because when you nerf people into the ground, you have to take a lot of effort to rise them back up. So we're doing stuff slow. But when we have that new character in, things will change. Things will change, and we will probably have to take a closer look at some characters, which is exciting. Like I'm super up for it. I like having disruptive stuff happen and then cleaning up the mess. Because right now we're pretty balanced with the characters right now. Like seriously, don't have the data up right now, but I'm pretty sure that no characters are below 40 to like 45% win rate. I think it's like 40 lowest maybe. You know, Jason, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like there are no bunk characters. Like all these characters are pretty good. So there's plenty of room for different strategies for new unique team comps. So and the more characters we have, the more interesting this all gets. So we're just like 3 people on this team, making, you know, doing design stuff and implementation. So it takes a little while, but now with our kind of like new development rotation that we've been doing, it's really enabled us to put some new cool stuff in the game. I'm like super excited for this new character. 2 patches after that, we're going to be seeing something pretty interesting as well. That I will say, will make you think a lot about not only the characters you choose in the beginning of the game, but also where you are putting them. I'll let your mind wander about what that could possibly be. Let's also say that depending on how we implement this stuff, it'll enable new team comps because of certain positional type things. So anyway, I'm gonna take a quick break, and we're just gonna see what's going on in the Discord. You know, I'll just stay here for a couple more. How about that? I like chatting with you. Oh, high ground. I won't say anything more about high ground. All right. Let's see. If anybody else wants to join the tournament, seriously, feel free. We're doing like a final roll call right now. As of like a minute ago. So seriously, it looks like we're not gonna have like too many people this tournament. So we're gonna be able to do a round robin, which will enable about everybody to fight everybody else. So this is a good time to hop in. Seriously, like there's no pressure to this kind of stuff. It's just get used to the game. You know, play with a bunch of people, have a good time. So yeah, you guys have like a couple more minutes to sign up for these tournaments, and we'll take it from there. Also, if anybody's curious, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before, but in the Discord, under the tournament area, there is a channel called Results Archive. And from there, you can see the results of the last tournament, wins and losses, all that kind of stuff. But also, an very interesting thing is that we have Spectator Mode. So if you're interested, all of those matches are saved. So if you want to go back and see how some people fight, or try to strategize against other people, or see what other people's strategies are, you don't have to just watch the VODs here. You can actually launch it right from your game client. So if you have the game client up and you click on one of those, it'll open up a window in your internet browser, and it'll basically beam that game information to your client, and you can launch it from there and just watch the whole thing. So if you want to check that stuff out, it's pretty cool. And you can see every single match from the last tournament. So I wouldn't suggest doing that now because the tournament's about to start, but in the future, that's a pretty cool thing that you can do. Yeah, if you want to multitask, you can play your game and watch other people's games if you so choose. Like one of those like chess grandmasters, like playing like 3 games at once. Work, since you're the reigning champion, you can probably do that, right? You're gonna play 3 round robin games in a row, or not in a row, at the same time, in parallel. I could just imagine someone having the game in windowed mode and just like playing on 3 screens. It'd be absolutely wild. All right, I'm gonna take like a quick like 2 or 3 minutes. I'm gonna grab some more water, and we'll be ready to go. I believe we are locked in for this tournament, so I will see you guys pretty soon.